So, starting of the video, what do we see? Oh my god, it's Pani Puri, isn't it? Due to this COVID, I think most of us haven't been able to eat so many, this junk foods and etc. Our parents are not allowing us to eat it from outside, but still, sometimes we just sneak into and order it from Zomato or Swiggy or something like that, isn't it? So this is pani puri. I'm just looking at it and I feel like when will I be able to have? Okay, let's go ahead. And so in the next picture, what do we have? Oh my God, it's Maggie on one side and pizza topped with so much of cheese. Hmm. Again, okay, Maggie still we can make it at home, and cheese again we have to order it from either Domino's or Pizza Hut. Oh my God, I just can't believe. And what about this? Chicken momos. Actually, yesterday I had chicken momos. I had ordered it and then I couldn't resist myself. But you know what? This, if you go through this picture, this one pani puri, then comes your Maggie, pizza, and then your chicken momo. We do eat it, okay, whenever we like. But then in the next day, why does the entire pani puri and everything turns into a poop? Even this chicken momo turns into a poop the next day. Okay, why does it happen? Okay, wondering why does it happen? So for that, let's dive into our next chapter, that is the digestive system. So I welcome you all again to our biology class. So let's move ahead. Now, this digestive system, if we are to discuss about it, then I want all of you to sit with your book, page number 36. What does it say? So it says that the process of digestion in human beings involves various organs that collectively form the digestive system. So digestive system, you can say that it is a system or an organization in our body which helps in digestion. Well, what does happen in digestion? In digestion, what happens is complex food matter, complex food matter is broken down into a simpler form. Okay? What is digestion means? When the complex food matter that we are taking is broken down into a very simple form, that is digestion. And the system which helps in digestion, that is called as the digestive system. Okay, clear? See, this is the digestive system. So we will be studying what are the constituents of the digestive system. So we have number one, we have the mouth. Okay, fine. Number two, we have the salivary glands. Okay. Number three, we have the esophagus. Number four, we have the stomach. Number five, we have the liver. Number six, gallbladder. Number seven, pancreas. Number eight, large intestine. Number nine, small intestine. Then 10 is rectum. 11 is anus. And 12 is appendix. So overall, what we can see here is that there are 12 organs in our digestive system. Right? So we shall study each of them one by one. Okay. So I hope you all can understand that we have 12 organs which takes part in the breaking down of complex food matter into simple ones. So that is digestion. Now, what do we see? So starting with, if you see your book page 36, we will see that buccal cavity. The first word is the buccal cavity. What is this buccal cavity? Buccal cavity is the process see, buccal cavity means we have the mouth, which consists of the teeth and the tongue. Okay, so this is buccal cavity, which consists of what? The teeth and tongue. Alright, so this is the buccal cavity. Let's see what's written in your book. The process of digestion starts in the mouth or the buccal cavity. Okay, so we are taking in food here, and then the process of digestion first starts here. First process of digestion starts in the buccal cavity. Remember this thing, okay? This is a very common question, that where does the process of digestion start? So what will you say? It's the buccal cavity, which is the mouth. Fine. The food is chewed with the help of teeth. Okay, we know we chew it with our teeth. All right. The process of chewing food is called mastication. So do you remember in the class what have we done? I asked you all to bring a biscuit. We ate a biscuit in the class and we were chewing it, right, in this way. See, we were chewing it in this way, isn't it? So this process of chewing food is called mastication. Okay, so from now onwards, suppose if someone asks you, what are you doing? And at that point of time, suppose you were eating the food and you were chewing. So instead of chewing, as now you have learnt biology, so you can say that, well, I'm masticating. That means I am chewing the food. Okay, so that is known as mastication. And related to what are the teeth and its types, so you see there are 4 types of teeth. Okay, 4 types of teeth: incisors, canine, premolars and molars. You can see that. So in the buccal cavity we have the teeth and the tongue, and then when the food enters, and then we start chewing the food, which is called as the mastication. Remember this. Now next line, the tongue mixes with the food, the tongue mixes the food with saliva. Okay, so we know that as soon as we eat food, we have saliva already in our mouth. So the food mixes with saliva, right? It mixes with saliva. Saliva is secreted by the salivary glands located around the throat and in the mouth. So let's see. So we are talking of the salivary glands. Now these salivary glands are of 3 types. Okay, 3 types of salivary glands are there. Number 1, parotid gland. Number 2, submandibular gland. And number 3 is the sublingual gland. So parotid gland, you will find it near this ear and the throat region. Okay, this is the parotid. This is the parotid gland. Fine. The submandibular gland will be under the chin region, and sublingual gland will be under the tongue. Okay, do you know why is it called a submandibular? Mandible means what? This is the lower jaw, is called as lower jaw. This one, this is the lower jaw and upper jaw. Okay, so the lower jaw is called as mandible. So as this gland, salivary gland, is located in the mandibular region, in the lower jaw region, so it is called as the submandibular gland. All right, so these 3 salivary glands, they work together and they make the inner part of our mouth wet. Okay, so we have saliva due to the secretion of these 3 salivary glands: parotid gland, submandibular gland and sublingual gland. Okay, is this clear? Fine. Next, the salivary gland secretes digestive juices that contain an enzyme called salivary amylase. So now you are hearing a new word which is called the enzyme. So what is an enzyme? So these are substances that speeds up the chemical reaction in our body. So we are eating food. Okay, this food gets mixed with the saliva. Okay, now then what happens? This saliva contains enzymes. That means these are substances which will help in breaking down the food at a faster pace. Okay, instead of in slow process, it will go at a faster pace. So that is due to the presence of the enzyme. So in the saliva, there is an enzyme which is called as the salivary amylase. Remember this one, please, everyone. Salivary amylase is there. Now, why is the salivary amylase present in the saliva? Why is this enzyme present? So that the starch in the food, okay, the carbohydrate or the starch, the carbohydrate in the food, which is what? This is a complex one. What we have studied in the digestion, what is digestion? Where complex food matter is broken down into a simpler form. So the food contains complex material like the starch, like the carbohydrate. Okay, so this is a complex one. Our body cannot take in or get energy from this complex food matter. So in order to break down this complex food matter or starch or carbohydrate into simpler one, this salivary amylase plays an important role. Okay, so this salivary amylase, what they will do, this is an enzyme I told you that speeds up the chemical reaction in our body. So this salivary amylase then will react with the food, will act on the food that we have entered in our mouth, and then will break it into simpler products. So what can we see is that, just let me erase the ink. Yes, fine. So what is there? Suppose we have eaten starch. That means we have eaten food which is rich in starch or carbohydrates, and on this food salivary amylase acts. Why salivary amylase will act? Because this is an enzyme which speeds up the chemical reaction. Okay, so this starch with the help of the salivary amylase will get converted into maltose, which is a simple form. All right, and starch is a complex form. Easy. Okay, so we have to break down the complex form in our body to a simple form. And who is helping here in the mouth, in the buccal cavity, in the mouth region? The salivary amylase. So always remember, starch is converted to maltose with the help of salivary amylase. All right, is this clear to all of you? So okay, let's move ahead. Next we go to esophagus. What is an esophagus? So we have studied, let's see this one. So we have studied about mouth, we have studied about salivary glands. Now this food is then slowly entering the food pipe, which is the esophagus. Let's study what is it all about. See, esophagus is also called the food pipe. Why is it called the food pipe? Because the food enters this one from the mouth. We take in the food enters this food pipe. See, the food is moving inside. The food is moving through this pipe. Alright, so this is why it is called as food pipe. It is a long muscular tube-like structure that moves in a wave-like manner to push down food into the stomach. So you can see it is long. Yes, it's long. Then it's muscular. Yes, muscles are here involved, and tube-like that moves in a wave-like pattern. Can you see this one? It's moving in a wave-like pattern. It's not moving like straight. It's moving, making waves and moving. See, it's making waves and moving down, right? So what I want to tell you is that, so this esophagus, it helps in the passage of the food in this way, in a wave-like pattern. Clear? Next, what is written? This movement is called peristalsis. So this movement of food in the esophagus, which is like in a wave-like pattern, this is called the peristalsis. This movement is called as peristalsis. Remember, food does not move via the esophagus in a completely straight pattern. It moves in a wave-like pattern, and this movement of food in a wave-like pattern is called what? Peristalsis. So we have learned two new words, right? Isn't it? In fact, we are learning many words. So the chewing of food is called as mastication, all right? And the way the food passes through the esophagus in a wave-like pattern is called as peristalsis. Clear? Okay. The food is transported from the buccal cavity through the esophagus to the stomach. So yes, from the buccal cavity, the food is now slowly getting transported to what? This is the stomach. So it will get transferred to the stomach. All right. The movement of food through the alimentary canal happens due to the peristaltic movement. So what is now alimentary canal? Let's see. The alimentary canal is a passage along which food passes through the body during digestion. So this entire thing is called the alimentary canal, because what is the alimentary canal? It is the passage along which food passes. Okay, so you can see this is a passage, and the food will keep on passing through this entire passage until the food gets digested. Okay, so until the food breaks down completely into a simple form, it will keep on moving through this entire region. In this entire region, the food will keep on moving, and then what happens is that the things which our body cannot digest, we excrete that out in the morning in the form of what? In the morning, in the form of this poop. Okay, so that is, this entire thing is called as the alimentary canal. All right. So what were we studying? So the movement of food through the alimentary canal happens due to peristaltic movement. So in the entire alimentary canal, you see the food doesn't move in a straight like pattern. Okay, it will always move in this wavy form, and this wavy form of movement is called the peristalsis or peristaltic movement. I hope this one is clear. Now I want to tell you one thing. What happens is that there is another part in the, you can say here in this region, in the neck region, which is called the epiglottis. You will see just now, yeah, this is the epiglottis. What is epiglottis? You see page number 37, there is a box, signs in context. You see a small flap-like organ called the epiglottis prevents the food from entering the trachea and channels it into the esophagus. Remember, what happens is that we have the esophagus through which the food will pass, but just beside the esophagus there is also the windpipe, which is called the trachea. See, we eat food, simultaneously we are also breathing. How is it possible? This is possible because the windpipe is also open at the same time. But what happens sometimes, you know, while we are eating, when this food enters the windpipe, then we start coughing. You see, we start coughing because the food particle has entered the windpipe, and that's why we start coughing. But this does not happen always. Okay, sometimes it happens. Now, what is the reason that we don't cough every time we eat food? What can be the reason? We cough sometimes only, not always, right? How does it happen? Why don't we cough always? Reason is that, see, wait just a second. Yes, reason is that this flap-like structure, as soon as the food keeps passing, so this flap-like structure, which is called the epiglottis, it will cover the windpipe. So simultaneously what will happen? This food will simultaneously go to the food pipe. Okay, instead of reaching the windpipe, this epiglottis will cover the windpipe. See, it covers and the food goes in the food pipe instead of the windpipe. Clear? Food is coming, epiglottis covers wind, and the food goes to the food pipe. So this is how our food travels through the food pipe, and epiglottis is a flap-like organ which helps to cover the windpipe, and so the food doesn't enter a windpipe and we don't cough always. Okay, so this is the role of epiglottis. Now next we go to the role of stomach. See, this is the stomach, this curvy bag-like structure in our body. So let's see what is there. The stomach is a muscular sac-like organ. Okay, we know that, sac-like. The inner lining wall of the stomach produces dilute hydrochloric acid and digestive juices containing the enzymes pepsin and renin. Okay, let's see one by one. So what is written? The inner lining wall of the stomach produces dilute hydrochloric acid. So this inner lining of this entire muscular sac-like organ, which is called the stomach, this inner lining have hydrochloric acid. There is an acid present in the stomach, hydrochloric acid. Okay, but why? Why is the hydrochloric acid present here? The hydrochloric acid is present so that it can kill the germs or microbes, which is called as the microorganisms in the food. Okay, we are eating so many different kind of food, right? We are eating so many different kinds of food, and then what happens is that many germs can be there in the food, right? So what happens, as soon as the food passes through the buccal cavity, then the esophagus, okay, and then reaches the stomach. So this stomach, it has hydrochloric acid in it, okay, and this hydrochloric acid is present only in the stomach, and this helps to kill the germs or microorganisms which is present in the food. Clear? I hope this is clear, that why do the stomach have the hydrochloric acid. Okay. Now the thing is that apart from this hydrochloric acid, the stomach also contains enzymes which is called as the pepsin and renin. What enzymes are there? Enzymes, we had studied what is the role of an enzyme, that these are substances that speeds up the chemical reaction in our body. So this pepsin and renin will speed up the chemical reaction which is taking place in the stomach. Okay, so we have, what do we have in the stomach? Number one is hydrochloric acid we have, which helps to kill the germs or microbes in the food, and then number two we have pepsin, and number three we have renin. So pepsin and renin are two enzymes which are present in the stomach to speed up the chemical reaction. Fine. Next, what it's written, the enzyme pepsin helps in breaking down proteins into smaller molecules called peptones. Okay, let's now rub this one and then write it all over again. Okay, so what happens is that we have the pepsin, we have the enzyme renin, and we have hydrochloric acid. Hydrochloric acid is written in short form as HCl. You will be learning all this thing in chemistry. Okay, now see this hydrochloric acid, what is written, just a second, yeah, the enzyme pepsin helps in breaking down proteins into smaller molecules called peptones. So pepsin, what it will do, so this is protein. Protein is also a complex form which is present in fish, chicken, milk and all this thing. Okay, we have proteins, then we have pulses, dal, when we have dal, so there are proteins in it. So these proteins are complex molecules. Okay, now our body cannot digest properly or take in this big complex molecule, so it needs to first break down into a simple form. So how will this protein get broken down into simple form? Protein gets converted to a simple form which is called as the peptones. Okay, protein gets converted into a simple form, peptones, and who helps? Which enzyme helps? Pepsin, which is present in our stomach. Clear? Protein helps, is a complex form, you can say this is complex form, and peptone is a simple form. Clear? So protein helps to pepsin helps to convert the protein into peptones. Clear? And then is the enzyme renin, works on the milk protein casein and converts it into curd. Okay, so this renin, so we have understood the role of HCl, that HCl breaks down the microorganisms present in the food. We have studied that pepsin, it breaks down protein into peptones. And what does this renin do? Why do we have renin? See, all of us, we drink milk, isn't it? So in the milk, what happens is that there is a special protein called as the casein protein. The protein which is present in milk is called as the casein protein. Now this casein protein is what? It's complex in nature. We know digestion is a process in which we break down the complex food material into a simple form, right? So what happens is that now we have to break down this complex casein milk protein into a simple form. Who will help here? Renin is going to help. So you see what is written in your book. So casein is a complex form. It will get converted to curd. It will get converted to curd with the help of which enzyme? Renin. Okay. This is a complex form, casein is complex and curd is simple form. Clear? Right? So we have studied three important things. So this is a stomach. In the stomach, we have three things. First is the inner wall of the stomach. It secretes hydrochloric acid. Hydrochloric acid does what? It kills the microorganisms in the food. Well and good. Then number two, we have the enzyme pepsin. What does pepsin do? Pepsin is an enzyme which helps to break down the complex protein into peptones, which is a simple form. Okay. And also we have number three, which is the renin. What does renin do? Renin helps to convert the complex casein protein in milk to curd. Okay, clear? Please remember this one, that what happens in the stomach. Okay, next what is written? The mucous membrane of the stomach keeps the inner wall of the stomach safe from the harmful effects of the acids. So what happens, you know, that in the stomach, see, these acids are present, okay, and hydrochloric acid is a very strong acid. Let me just erase everything. Yes. Now this hydrochloric acid, this is very strong acid. Okay, it's a very strong acid. What happens, you know, this acid also eats up the inner walls of the stomach because it is such a strong acid. But then the thing is, but we have a stomach intact. Right from birth we are eating food and we have a stomach intact by the grace of God. Then how does it happen? See, even though we have HCl, which is a very strong acid, what happens is that our stomach has a mucous membrane, or you can say, yes, just a second, mucous membrane. You know, mucus is like a slimy layer, slimy, gluey layer, slimy or glue type layer. It covers this inner wall of the stomach. Okay, it covers this inner wall of the stomach. As a result, what happens is that this acid which is present in the stomach, it does not affect the walls of the walls of the stomach. Okay, because there is a layer, a slimy layer is present here protecting the lining of the stomach. So the acid which is present, that is the HCl acid, it does not affect the walls of the stomach. Okay, clear? And thus our stomach, it stays protected. Now next, the food that is partially digested in the stomach is called chyme, C-H-Y-M-E. This passes into the small intestine. So again, I'll erase the ink. Yeah. So what happens now, you see, I told you, so the food passes from the buccal cavity to the esophagus and now reaches the stomach. So in the stomach, we see that there is the role of hydrochloric acid, there is the role of pepsin, and there is also the role of renin. So what happens as a result of all this, the food material starts to get partially digested, okay, partially digested. That means it starts to get slowly
into a simple form partially. Okay, till now some complex food material is still present in the stomach, but still to certain extent the food material is slowly breaking down. So what happens is that here this partially digested food material in the stomach is called as what? Is called as chyme. Okay, so it's a partially digested food material is called as chyme. So whatever chyme has been formed here, this chyme then slowly passes on to the small intestine. You can see it's passing on to the small intestine. Clear to all of you that how the stomach behaves, what are the materials present in the stomach? We have HCl, we have pepsin, we have renin, and the partially digested food in the stomach is called as the chyme. Is this clear to all of you? I hope it's clear. Please rewatch this video if it's not. Next we go to, before we go to the small intestine, so I have another thing to tell you all, that is what is liver. You can see it on page 37. Okay, so liver, as you can see, just a second. Yes, so you see liver is, it is the largest gland in the body. Liver, this is a liver, this structure is the liver. Now liver is what? Largest what? Gland. So what does gland mean? What is the meaning of the word gland? So you can see that this gland means it's an organ which has a very specific function, which has very specific function. In higher classes you will study more in details about glands. As of now in class 6, just remember that this is an organ which has very specific function. So what happens is that this liver is the largest gland in our body. Okay, it's very large in size. All the glands are very small in size actually, but liver is the largest. Okay, it produces bile juice that helps in the digestion of fat. Okay, so we keep on eating butter, we keep on eating ghee, we keep on eating oily foods. Okay, so what does they contain, this oily food? What do they contain? They contain fats. Now in order to digest fats, you know, it's not easy for our stomach. With the help of this HCl, pepsin and renin, it's not easy to digest fats in our body. Okay, but now fats need to be digested. So what happens here is that this liver plays the important role of digestion of fat in our body. Okay, what happens? This liver secretes bile juice. Which juice? Bile juice. Okay, they will secrete bile juice. Liver will secrete bile juice, which helps in the digestion of fat. Let me write it here, digestion of fats in our body, digestion of all these oily, greasy substances. Okay, and bile juice is stored in a small sac like organ called the gallbladder. So this, see, this entire largest gland of the body, which is the liver, it secretes or it produces bile juice. Right now this bile juice needs to be stored in where? In a bag like structure. This small bag like structure that you can see is the gallbladder. So gallbladder consists of bile juice. And what does bile juice do? It helps in the digestion of fats. Okay, then the bile juice from the gallbladder is secreted into the small intestine. So when the food, oily food substance will enter, then what will happen is that this gallbladder, which contains the bile juice, the bile juice will come and reach the small intestine. You see here, that means what? You see, two things are happening. Food is coming from the stomach into the small intestine, and here you have the liver. Okay, so below the liver there is a gallbladder. So gallbladder also is bringing bile juice into the small intestine. So here we have the actually the liver, and here is the, suppose, your gallbladder, which consists of bile juice. Okay, so this bile juice comes and falls in the small intestine, and the food also, that is the chyme, also comes and falls in the small intestine. Okay, is this clear? So now in the next video we are going to study further about small intestine, large intestine, okay, and everything. As of now, I think hopefully up till now this has been clear. If not, then I request you to rewatch this video once again. Okay, till then, bye bye, take care.